Hey folks, Lumpz the Clown here, and today I'll be discussing the initial entry into one of the most influential series in video game history, Metroid for the NES. Co-developed by Nintendo R&D 1 as well as Intelligent Systems, Metroid was initially released in Japan on August 1986, followed by a North American release roughly 1 year later. For the rare gamer that has never even heard of Metroid, you take on the role of bounty hunter Samus Aran, who has been dispatched to planet Zebes to destroy the Metroid menace. The Metroids themselves have the ability to latch onto other life forms and drain their energy until only a dried husk remains. To make matters worse, the space pirates and their leader, Mother Brain, are looking to breed them for their own nefarious ends, and it is up to Samus to stop them. Alone. Wait a minute, didn't that so-called emergency order say some shit about Galaxy Federal Police? So at best, one can assume that there are at least a few more people out there with a vested interest in bringing down the space pirates. So why the hell did they think it was a good idea to send in one lone soldier to take down a whole fucking planet? For those who don't have the manual, the backstory goes a little something like this. The space pirates stole a lone Metroid in suspended animation from a deep space research station. Realizing the creature's deadly potential, they smuggle it back to their fortress on Zebes and soon discover that they multiply when exposed to beta rays for 24 hours. Great news for them, bad news for the rest of us. After the Galaxy Federal Police discover the space pirates' fortress on planet Zebes, they commence bombardment of the planet, just to watch their bullets fruitlessly ding off the fortress. As a last resort, they send in Samus to finish the job. So to sum up, we have a sufficiently pissed off, hostile planet that knows full well that the Galactic Federation is onto them. Samus has no idea what lies below or what they're capable of, and one can only assume that Metroid production has frantically increased due to Samus and company's arrival, creating a race against time. Sounds an awful lot like survival horror, right? Think back on some of the most popular survival horror titles of the mid to late 90s, notably Resident Evil and Clock Tower. What did they all have in common? A singular character, thrust into a hostile situation, not having many items or weapons at their disposal, and untold horrors lurking around every corner. Throw in a little claustrophobia, some moody music, and the occasional boss to keep things interesting, and you have yourself a survival horror. So going back to Metroid, the player assumes a singular role going up against countless threats. The terrain itself is not easily traversed or accessible, and then there's the continual backtracking to find items after finding new items. Smells like Resident Evil, right? When you first start the game, you only have some cursory weapons and a lot of locked doors. Yeah, I guess you can stand in the mansion foyer with your thumb firmly planted in your ass, but you wouldn't be doing your part to take down Umbrella now, would you? Time to hike up your explorer pants and find what you need to progress. Clock Tower also follows a similar formula where you have to explore the claustrophobic environment to find your way out, hoping that you don't hear this. It's a race against time, and your protagonist is usually ill-prepared to handle Scissorman and his shears of death. In order to progress through all scenarios, you better make damn sure that you find everything before progressing, lest you come to a bloody end.
Jennifer? Jennifer, are you asleep already? Jennifer. Jennifer. Jennifer, hold on!
These are two titles that most gamers will defend to the end as survival horror, albeit delivered differently. So why should Metroid be passed over? As I mentioned previously, one crucial ingredient to a survival horror game is environment. During the NES's heyday, developers had to get creative when they wanted to build a moody and unsettling environment, and they nailed it with Metroid. A hostile winding planet where everything, even the fucking water, wants to kill you. And just peep that sweet, sweet Metroid music. Everything about the music helps build the mood, from the depths of Kraid's lair to the bowels of Turian, Metroid's soundtrack hits absolutely every emotional chord to exemplify isolation and claustrophobia. Granted, the overworld theme gives off a heroic adventurer type of vibe, but that quickly dissipates the further Samus delves deeper into the fortress. What starts out as heroic hubris quickly regresses into claustrophobia and sweaty palms. Slap the controller into someone's hand who hasn't played Metroid before and give them about 2 hours. We'll see if they're feeling all heroic after that. However, to appease the much younger, naive masses who missed out on the NES era, let's go ahead and change a few things. Like this! After seeing that, how can you not classify that as survival horror? Would you want to have your lonely ass slapped onto a hostile planet chock full of alien horrors? I'd like to think that you'd be Maru Mariing your ass into a sack of tears in the corner, quite honestly. So imagine walking into a room and you bump either into a spike-tossing armored reptile or a fire-breathing dragon. And what about killing all those Metroids only to find yourself locked in battle with a disembodied brain in a container? And yes, I bet many of you just now shit your pants if you already didn't do so back when you first played Metroid. Despite these mind-numbing and moody environs, Nintendo naturally opted not to go with blood to convey terror. Some 90s survival horror purists will go on a tangent right here talking about how Nintendo's omission of blood hurts Metroid's chances of being classified as survival horror. But honestly, is it really necessary to convince a sense of tension, isolation, and fear? Bottom line, Metroid didn't need blood to convey its ominous message clearly. It was sufficient enough to continually remind the player that it's up to them and only them to save the day, not knowing the dangers that lie ahead. Is that a boss room? Oh shit, do I have enough missiles? Did I miss anything? Where the hell am I? So I ask you, what is horror exactly? Is it what you see or what you don't see? If you were like me and rented Metroid as a kid, you'd never got a chance to peruse the manual because it was always missing. So unlike my much more affluent gamer buddies with their Nintendo Power subscriptions, I literally would wander around corridors blind, not knowing what's ahead. Funny enough, this is how I first discovered Kraid, with about 50 missiles and 2 energy tanks on me. Yeah, not good. Needless to say, if you didn't have the luxury of the manual or a map, you could merrily walk right up to death's door with a big stupid smile on your face. As I sit here, I recall the memories that I had of playing Resident Evil and Clock Tower for the first time, and the mantle of self-doubt and outright abject terror that would descend on me as I weakly tried to find my way around. What appeared to be a straightforward path would morph into a labyrinthine nightmare with the right level of dread applied, and Metroid handled this task beautifully. Oh, you found a secret path to bomb through? What's on the other side? Fuck! So if you want to get your scare on, I highly recommend playing Metroid, in the dark with the headphones on bump. If you don't have access to the original card or even an NES, that's no excuse. Metroid is available on the eShop, so that gives you a plethora of options to play it on, including the 3DS, the 2DS, the Wii, or the Wii U. In summary, the elements that comprise many of the successful survival horror games have been around a hell of a lot longer than some may think, just in different formats. I would definitely rate Metroid along with other survival horror titles, given its moody music, alien environs, its exploration aspect and item finding, and epic battles with little in the way of supplies. Better have an exit strategy before plowing headlong into that next door, eh? I'd like to thank you all for tuning in today for another round of Take Another Look. Shout out to my good buddy Benevolent Dickness for making this suggestion a while back. I finally got it done, man. Do you think Metroid has what it takes to be a survival horror game? Have an idea for a future episode that others may have just skimmed over? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and Lumpz the Clown out.